Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. Welcome back to another edition of Wander to the Edge. My name is Adam Asher from The Edge of Adventure.
I'm Zan from Where Gals Wander.
Zan, by the way, you're having a great hair day. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Adam. I appreciate that, especially coming from you.
I know. Should I get a haircut, you think? It's about time?
Maybe just a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably so.
And I like it when you angle the beard a little more too.
I like this.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to do that. You know who we should ask
Who should we
is
have?
our guest today because she's quite fashionable.
She
actually.
is. She is quite fashionable. The other thing I like about our guest today is she's a podcaster. And so we're going to not only learn about travel and travel writing in some of the countries she's been to, and she's got a great sense of humor, great storyteller. So you're going to enjoy getting to know her and hearing those stories. But we're also going to ask her about podcasting. I've got some podcasting questions lined up already. So stay tuned.
Oh,
for
I'm
that.
sure you do. I'm sure you do. Am I going to have a chance to like ask any questions during this interview?
Probably
Or is
not
it-
for the first 20 minutes.
Oh,
Probably not.
okay.
But
Good to know.
you know, like we were saying just before we went live here, we were just talking about how one of the two of us, either you or me, we have this arrangement that is one of the two of us has to be prepared for the interview. And if we're lucky, we're both prepared, but we're never sure, never quite sure of that. But today,
And even when we are prepared, sometimes you can't tell.
right. That's true too. I've lost track of whether or not we're prepared for today.
We are prepared for today. We're having Pip Jones from Pip and the City. And as you mentioned, she is the podcast host for Travel Goals podcast. So we're interviewing an interviewer, which is all sort of, existential, if
Right.
you will.
Right.
Yes. But
I
she's
can
a
make-
global traveler based in Wales. She has a fantastic website. She's got an amazing personality, just so much fun to talk to, certain level of sophistication and absolutely fashion on point. And what I particularly love, a slightly snarky edge. So we're going to have fun talking with her today.
And she is also joining us today from Wales in the United Kingdom. So we go global today, right
Yes.
here on
Wander to the Edge. Pip, I think you're taking a selfie. Pip, hi.
Sorry, darlings. Instagram calls. You know how it is. As well, the lighting in here is just dreadful, and one must always be lit correctly.
The lighting is everything. So
Pip, welcome to the program. Great to have you on the show, and have known you through Instagram and Twitter now for it must be several years, and to get this opportunity, oh, what an honor. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, it has been a few years. It feels like longer since last year because time has lost all meaning now.
It really has.
Yeah.
What day is it? Is it Sunday? I have no idea.
So
and you're usually so busy with your podcast and your travels, and even on your website, your little bio is the fact that you are emulating Carrie Bradshaw, typing at your computer, sipping champagne, taking a selfie. And I think we all saw all of that just now as you joined us. So thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and chat with us.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been a little bit quieter for obvious reasons at present. Normally I'm on the road about 60% of the year. So it's been a bit strange being grounded the last year or so, but I suppose at least it's given me a lot of time to work on various projects, on the podcast, the new radio show I'm doing. So luckily I've got lots to get on with. So, we've always got to be grateful for those kind of small wins, haven't we?
Yes.
Pip, you're definitely an entrepreneur, and that's one of the first things I think that you notice when you watch your social media accounts. You're always doing something. You're building something. You've got several different things going. So congratulations for that. Also, you have a beautiful accent. Tell us where you grew up. I know you're coming to us today from Wales. Uh, Home is where for you?
So I live in Cardiff, which is the capital of Wales. I grew up here. I went to school here, but I actually spent a lot of my 20s backpacking around the world, the typical $4 a day, staying kind of funky hostels. I've worked abroad as well. I volunteered abroad. And I ended up coming back to Wales when I was 30, I want to say. Met my husband, Luke, who I also work with. And now I'm pretty much based in Wales with him. Obviously, I'm on the road a lot, not right now, but mostly we do a lot of travels. And when we're not traveling, we're working right here at home in our studio as well. So yeah, the pair of us like to keep pretty busy.
I'm waiting for the podcast questions, Adam. So you go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to listen. Really, it's the most important podcast question that I'd like to ask you, Pip, is why is your podcast so much better than ours?
Yes.
Oh, nonsense, darling, nonsense. I mean, what a lot of people will tell you about podcasts is it's great content. And at Travel Goals, we really do try and make great content. We've spoken to some amazing guests and fantastic people in the travel industry. But I guess where I'm really lucky is that I have producer Luke, husband/producer, who makes it sound absolutely wonderful because he's got 17 years worth of audio experience. He used to run a music studio. He's done audio engineering, but now he does music production. He does podcast production for me. And we also work on several different audio projects together, which is really nice. So kind of my secret weapon is husband Luke, who also makes a mean espresso martini. So, thumbs up for that. That's kind of what we really try and strive for in Travel Goals is he's very fussy. So he takes a lot of time making sure that it sounds, what's the word we use? Delicious.
Well, also, I guess my second question, since I want to go ahead and get these out of the way, what was it like interviewing the ocean?
Oh my gosh. I was waiting for some mermaids to pop up, never thought I'd get a song or two, but, didn't happen. But it made for a cool photo, right? I was actually, all joking aside, we were going to do a destination episode on Morocco. So we actually were recording soundscapes. So we were recording things like the ocean. We were talking to locals. We were recording the sounds of the markets in Marrakesh, which honestly, that soundscape sounds amazing. But the problem is with all the bans on travel, we just haven't wanted to release it yet because we don't want to release it until people can actually go to Morocco, because we want them to hear the podcast, be inspired, and be able to book a trip. And obviously, people can't do that right now. So we're actually sitting on a few destination episodes like Morocco, Finnish Lapland, places like that, that we've got the audio for, we've got lovely soundscapes for, but we just don't want to release them yet because obviously it's not quite the right time to travel now. So we're kind of sit tight on those and maybe focus a little bit more on interviews or speaking to travel industry experts. So don't worry, lush destination episodes are coming your way, just not quite yet.
So I'm going to ask a question that I'm sure Adam wants to hear some advice on. What advice do you give podcasters like myself who have no idea what I'm doing? You and Adam are the professionals. I get in here and I'm just winging it. What advice do you have for other folks that, want to get started in this space?
Yeah, Pip, I don't know that we have time for that. There's a lot of information you're going to have to share. So,
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you a couple of tips. And if anyone wants to drop me a message on Instagram or on Twitter as well, I'd be happy to kind of help that way. How does that sound?
Perfect.
And I am teasing. Here's the thing about Zan is she's a natural at this, and whatever she's trying to pretend like she's not a podcaster, but she's a podcaster now.
You are.
And very good at it. Not to mention the fact that one of the things I'm sure that Pip, anybody knows who does a podcast, or any type of content creation like this, there's a lot of work on the back end. Like there's a lot of work to make these sort of things happen. And Zan does a lot of work to make these things happen. So don't let her fool you.
Oh yeah,
Am
I
I
very
okay, Zan? Did I save it? Did I bail myself out enough?
You did. I'm just here to cause trouble. So there you go.
I get the impression I'm dealing with a pro. But to get back to your question, what I would say is just immerse yourself when you're starting out. Read lots of ebooks on podcasting, listen to a big range of podcasts. There's also podcasts about podcasting as well. Join Facebook groups. Just really try and learn how it's done. And there's a lot of free information out there as well. I know, there's a lot of courses and ebooks and stuff which can cost a lot of money, and you can get those if you have the budget, but there is an awful lot of free information out there as well. So just immerse yourself in as much learning as possible, and just start is my best advice. Just give it a go. Just get a microphone. You can get really, really cheap USB ones, plug it into your computer, and just start talking into the microphone. Get comfortable with the process. You are interesting, you've got interesting things to say, and you should let people hear them. So I would really, really just start being a podcaster. Don't put it off till tomorrow, next week, next year. Hey, we're all at home, most of us, most of the time now. So now is the ideal time to kind of try and bring your podcast to life. And you know what? If it doesn't work out as a kind of professional thing, or maybe you only do one episode, it doesn't matter. It's creative and it's fun. So why not just give it a go anyway?
I mean, if it's not that good, you can just do it on Saturdays, like we do. So Pip, tell us, because I think if there's one location online if a person could go to get the best overview of who Pip is, it would be your website, pipandthecity.com.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us, what are we going to find there? What's the vision for this site, and what makes it unique?
So Pip in the City mostly focuses on what I like to call affordable luxury. So I like to do nice holidays. I've done the backpacker thing. I've stayed in $3 a night hostels, one in particular in Cambodia. I asked where the shower was, and the man pointed to a bucket. So that was a life experience. So I've done all sorts of budget travel. I've spent months on the road doing the budget thing, and I loved it. And I absolutely had the time of my life, and it taught me so much about travel. But now I'm a little bit older. I'm 25 and some years, and I'm married. I have a husband. I do this job for work as well. So when I'm not working and me and Luke are away, we like to go on nice holidays, not staying in wildly expensive like hotels or places like that, but just those kind of nice boutique mid-range places. And then we like doing lovely activities like walking tours or cooking classes, outdoor activities like hiking trips or kayaking. So I kind of wanted a website that reflected the kind of things that I enjoy doing on trips. And I know there are a lot of people out there who are perhaps in the same position as us. They're a little bit older, they've got a little bit more money than they did in their 20s, and they're just looking to have those really nice, high quality experiences. So that's kind of what I'm striving to do on the website, and just offer those range of destinations. I predominantly write about UK, Europe, and America on my site, but I'm also a freelance travel writer for other publications, as you might have seen. So I also write on a wide range of destinations for outlets such as the Travel Magazine, Rough Guides, Culture Trip, Inside Guides, Brat Guides, etc. And that allows me to go to a huge range of destinations as I get sent on a lot of press trips. So it's really nice to have a focus with my website on the things I want to be writing about and the things I'm really passionate about. And then to also have this other outlet where I can write for other people and write about a broader range of things. So, for example, for the Travel Magazine, I've covered Uzbekistan, and I've covered a hiking festival in Cape Verde, which you can see a picture there. And my editor, Sharon, hello, Sharon. She sent me on this hiking festival, and I said, Sharon, how much hiking is it? Because, I like hiking, but I'm not like Bear Grylls, And she was like, oh, it's a little bit of hiking, you're fine. Sharon lied. It was about 20 kilometers a day. Like these crazy, crazy mountains. Like we're basically like scrambling up. Like, yeah, there I am. I hiked up that volcano.
Wow.
Like it was crazy. And with all these like seasoned hikers as well. So I turn up in my Pink Floyd t-shirt and like a pink backpack, and they must have been like, oh great, Malibu Stacy's on the trip. Yay. And then I further solidified that by falling, injuring my knee, and having to hobble down the mountain. And then they had to call the local doctor, who healed me by setting a cup on fire and putting it on my knee. Yeah. And then kind of like moving it around. Like I've never seen anything like it.
Like cupping, like the massage cupping practice type of thing?
Like that kind of thing. But he gave me no notice. Like I'm lying there thinking, oh, okay, maybe, he'll just kind of, do some physio. I don't know what doctors do. I'm not a medical professional. And then before I knew it, he set a cup on fire. I didn't have enough time to whip out my phone for a photo because I thought the girls are going to love this in the WhatsApp. The main theme of our WhatsApp group seems to be like, what stupid thing has happened to Pip now? There's another one.
Oh, you do have quite some tales to tell from your travels.
Yeah.
I mean, I love hearing travel stories. If you have a particularly fun one that you'd like to share, we would love to indulge in that.
I mean, I'm not sure where to begin. I'm very, very clumsy. And so there's been or if it's going to happen, it's going to happen to me. I'm that travel person. So gosh, where to start? There was the time I got cholera in Vietnam and was hospitalized in a village hospital with my Irish friend holding my hand saying, are you going to die? I was like, I don't know, Ruth, but thanks for the comfort. Then I broke this wrist in Malta because I fell into the harbour, sober, I'd like to add, on day one of the trip. And then my husband ran into, because he was like, oh my God, she's fallen in the harbour. He slipped and then he fell into the harbour, much to the amusement of the local fishermen. He escaped unharmed. Obviously, I broke my wrist and had to go to the hospital in my swimming gear, which was fun. I then broke my other wrist, as you can see my surgery scar, cycling in mid Wales this year. And again, had to go to the hospital. I broke my foot doing interpretive ballet at a wedding in Hull. I accidentally set fire to a hostel in Iceland, but there wasn't any major damage. That was okay. I also then got a drinking ban for everyone in the hostel in New Zealand, but that really wasn't my fault. That was more my magician friend's fault. So yeah, and then I accidentally bought a camel in Dubai. I thought I was renting a camel, but I bought one and then had to give it away. So that's like a small selection. Travel disaster.
I don't know if I want to ask about the interpretive ballet or setting the hostel on fire. It's which direction should I go?
Well, I can give you a tip. Don't, those heaters, and they say don't put things on the heater. Listen when they say don't put things on the heater, because I decided to do a hand wash of like socks and that, laid them out on the heater, and then it was all like smoke and like fire, and then the fire brigade came and it was just an absolute palaver. But Icelandic firemen, so that was good.
Just things to keep in mind. Mind the gap, right? That's one. And don't buy a camel.
No.
Travel tips from Pip.
Yeah. That's just what I always needed, is another mouth to feed.
Yeah.
I have a camel. I don't know how I'm going to feed it. All right. So here's a question for you. Best place to hang a hammock in Australia?
That'll be in the national park where I used to work. So when I worked in Australia, I taught outdoor education. Would you believe, given how clumsy I am? And Monday to Friday, I lived in a hammock in the forest in Australia. And Saturday and Sunday, I lived in my boss's garage in Kiama, which is a small surf town about 2 hours away from Sydney. But with the hammock, that's an interesting experience because obviously it's full of wildlife in the national park. And I remember one night I was kind of like swinging in my hammock, and then suddenly I got like lifted up in the air, and I thought it was like a Wolf Creek type scenario, like I was about to be murdered in the middle of the night. So I started screaming and causing a fuss, but it was actually a wombat that had gone under my hammock and had raised me from the ground. But I woke up all the kids, the entire campsite, because I was screaming something along the lines of "help, murderer," not murderer, wombat. So yeah, I was crazy wombat lady for a while after that. So and some other nicknames which I can't repeat because my Australian colleagues are most rude, and it's it's not for ladies' ears.
We've heard that about Australians, but
Yes.
can't really verify it. So
With
not yet.
the hammock as well, I had to phone the tax people back in the UK, so the HMRC, the tax revenue people, about my tax situation, and they said, "What's your current address?" And I was like, "Oh no!" I was like, "I live in a hammock in Australia," and they said, "Ma'am, there is no button on the system for that." And I thought, ain't that the truth?
So how long did you live in this hammock? And like define for us what day in the life in the hammock would look like.
So basically we'd get up, I'd awaken in my hammock, do the spider pat down. Are there any gigantic spiders on my face or in my hair or anything like that? Get up, make some coffee because coffee is life. And, wake up all the kids, we'd make breakfast. Then we'd have to pack down the whole campsite and do the next part of our trek. So a big part of my job was we'd lead these 160, 170 kilometer hikes through the outback and through the national park. So we'd pack at the camp, then we'd walk like 20 kilometers or so, whatever it was for that day, stop, set all the camp back up for the night, put the hammock up, go to sleep, repeat the next day. So very often this meant that I wasn't having a shower for about 7 days straight, which was interesting. Baby wipes for your friends in that situation and lots of bug spray. But yeah, I was pretty filthy.
And when people would call and want you to like go out or something, you would just tell them, "You know what? I'm just going to hang out at home."
Yeah. It's a very Welsh humour. You'd fit in here.
Right.
For
right.
those keeping track of Adam's dad jokes at home, please go ahead and make another notch. Yes,
we need
there
to
you
get
go.
sound effects in here, so we can like ding.
Yeah.
Another.
Ding, 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 ding,
So
dad,
listen, I know you like coffee. You mentioned coffee a minute ago. Coffee is life, and you've traveled so much. And I know coffee is coffee, but as you've traveled and tried the different types of coffee, what are a couple of locations that might come to mind to say the coffee in in this country or this city is unique in a particular way?
So a couple of places. It's coffee in Istanbul. So you've got your traditional Turkish coffee, which is amazing. I'm not really a fan of those kind of super strong coffees. So, for example, I had Vietnamese coffee when I was traveling through Vietnam, and that wasn't a huge fan of that. But I am a big fan of Turkish coffee. Costa Rica, I think backpacked around there for our honeymoon, and we love the coffee there. Obviously, the best coffee in the world. Where else? What I do also love, because I'm a sucker for punishment, is wildly overpriced coffee in Paris. So there's nothing better than spending like €8 on a tiny cup of coffee on the Champs-Élysées in Paris, just because you're basic.
So I am yet to travel the world and become a global traveler like you are. You mentioned the coffee in Paris. What are some other like must-do things that come to mind that you have to do before you die in the world according to Pip? I
Oh,
have to have a cup of coffee in Paris. What else do I need to do?
okay. So, oh gosh, that's quite a list. So I'll think of some of my favorite ones. So wildly overpriced coffee in Paris, absolutely. I would say Australian desert. There's nothing like it. So maybe do a road trip through Uluru, Alice Springs, all these kind of remote Australian towns as well. A place called Marla, which we went to, which was a population of about 20, and we found a dive bar. Me and the guys I was traveling with, and they had a jukebox, and we were just dancing on the bar all night. So that was kind of fun. I'd say go hiking in New Zealand. Best hiking in the world, absolutely stunning. Sahara Desert. Make sure you get some selfies in the Sahara Desert. It's absolutely nothing like a good sunset there. You can sit, watch the sun dip over the beautiful dunes. Absolutely incredible. Make sure you admire the architecture in Uzbekistan. Obviously, they've got really, really historic old Silk Road architecture there. These absolutely incredible buildings, which you must see. They're gorgeous. Rent a bike in the Netherlands. Now, you're going to think I'm going to say Amsterdam. And don't get me wrong, Amsterdam is incredible. But what I would say is for a more sort of realistic, sort of Dutch local experience, head to one of the smaller cities like Utrecht. And because you can kind of get a bit more of an idea of what real life is. Amsterdam is very touristy. Obviously, a lot of Dutch people live there as well, but it's a really, really, really touristy city. And I just think there are smaller cities in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, use your words, Pip. In the Netherlands, where you can go and have a bit more of a local experience. You can see people going about their business. There's no like postcard shops or big like commercial cheese shops, you know, that kind of thing. So I would personally rent a bike in one of the smaller Dutch cities and have a cycle round and get that kind of whole lovely sort of like Dutch cycling experience. So I think that would be a good thing to do.
I got my list.
Yeah, those are I mean, how long is a piece of string? There's so many awesome things to do. And yeah, put on the spot. I mean, I could, you know, regurgitate loads and loads and loads of some of the awesome things that I've been very, very, very lucky to do. But there's just so many things. And I think shows like this are great because it can inspire people to start planning their dream trips and their bucket lists and really think about where they want to go to travel. And I think that's, you know, it's a nice job we all have, isn't it? Kind of talking about travel and trying to inspire others to travel. And it's kind of my favorite thing about it, really.
Our guest today is Pip Jones, and she's joining us, of course, from Pip and the City. We've been talking about all this wonderful platform, the website that you can go check out, pipandthecity.com, okay? But there's another website. You mentioned that you are from Wales. You are there now. That's home for you. So you have another platform. It's called Wales Bucket List, and I'm going to pull up the website here. But I want you to tell us a little bit about this. And I mean, I can imagine why you started this. This is home. This is a part of who you are. But when we go to this website, what are we going to find?
So I set this up this year, obviously, because travel's been quite restricted. So I wanted to have a focus on local travel, and being at home a lot has given me a lot of time to explore more of my home country as well, which has been lovely. So here you're going to find a bit of inspiration about adventures, places you can go in Wales, and some of the more unique activities that you can do, some of the local walks, which you can see there, some of the hikes, all that kind of thing, and just really get a flavour of what Wales is all about so you can start planning your Welsh adventure. I'm aware when a lot of people come to the UK, especially from the States or from further afield, they just head to London. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand why. It's iconic, lots of attractions, lots of things to see. But I think Wales, Scotland, Ireland, some of the smaller places in England as well, that's where Britain is. And that's where, you know, you can get a real sense of this kind of strange kind of island that we live in. And we have a lot of quirks here in Wales. So, for example, you can do a sport called bog snorkeling. We actually have a bog snorkeling championship here in Wales, because in Wales, you look at a bog and you don't think, oh, that's a bog. You look at a bog and think, I bet I can make a sport out of that. There's something in this. I tell you what, we'll pop snorkels on them, we'll charge them money, and we'll tell them it's a competition. And that's basically what we're like here. So yeah, I was just trying to give a bit of a range. Obviously, it's still very much work in progress, Wales Bucket List, because it was only launched this year, and we've been in and out of local lockdowns as well, so it can be a bit tricky right now to get new content. But I'm working as hard as I can, because obviously I've got Pip in the City website, I've got Wales Bucket List, I've got the podcast, I've got my radio show, we've got the music production company that we own, Clearwave Music, and I do freelance writing as well. So basically, I feel like I need another view of me to kind of manage everything.
So when this is all over, how are you even going to find time to go back to travel, given all that?
I don't know. Oh my goodness. I'm a very antsy person. I'm sure you've kind of got that vibe. So I would have to be doing something. I was always that person as well, especially when I was younger. I couldn't just have one job. Oh no, I've got to have like 5 different jobs and be doing lots of different things. So I find it really hard to sit still. So hopefully when I'm back traveling, I'll try and find better processes for managing things. I'm a big believer in outsourcing as well. So my friend Hannah actually helped me. So that's Hannah, who's HH Travel Lifestyle, I think, on Twitter. Yeah. So she's fantastic. She does a company called The Useful Human as well. And she helped me with my website, Wales Bucket List, which was an absolute godsend, because I just didn't have time to set it up, to be honest. And yeah, I'm a big believer in trying to outsource where possible. She also helps me a little bit more with Pip in the City, hoping to get her to help me a bit more this year as well. I just need to get myself organised. So yeah, it's just about trying to like find better sort of like processes for myself. But I also work on the road a lot. So when I'm away traveling, I'll also be working in the evenings as well, or during some downtime. So I think the problem with travel writing is everyone just thinks you sit around all day drinking Prosecco and taking the odd photo. And that sounds wonderful, but it's not the reality at all. On some of my press trips, it's like 18-hour days, really. So you're going and you're having these amazing experiences, which I would never complain about, but you're working the whole time. You're talking to people, you're taking notes, you're taking photos, you're trying to absorb as much as you can so that you can relay this experience back to others. And it's amazing, but it's tiring. So some of my press trips can be particularly full on. Some of the, I think I can mention the Turkey. I did a Turkey press trip, and that was like, we changed hotels every night. We were up at like 6 o'clock in the morning. They'd want us out experiencing like the nightlife till about, 12, 1 night, 4 a.m. So one night we were really tired on this press trip, and we were kind of angling to go back to the hotel. And they were like, oh, but the mayor of Marmaris wants to take you clubbing. So to go clubbing with the mayor of Marmaris. And he's like buying us like trays of drinks at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, like, what is happening? Sometimes I think, God, this is not a normal job at all. I mean, thank God, because it's super fun and interesting. But yeah, it's like I was like on a podium in a bar in Marmaris with a drink that the mayor had bought me, thinking, this is weird.
Yeah.
And I remember my geography teacher when I was about 15 informing me, travel isn't a job. And I just wanted to be like, hey, Mr. David, you're laughing now.
So where did this start, Pip? I mean, if you were to go back to the beginning, where did this interest and then your ability to monetize this interest, to turn this into your profession?
I just always wanted to travel. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with Pippi Longstockings, hence my nickname. So my name, my actual name, because some people don't realise, is Portia Jones, but I've been Pip since I was about 4. My sister gave me that nickname because I was obsessed with Pippi Longstockings. I used to beg her to braid my hair, like she used to defy gravity, but my sister can't defy gravity, unfortunately. And yeah, ever since I was a kid, I was just fascinated with other places. That's all I ever wanted to do, was to travel and to see places. So I've always tried to do that. I've done Camp America, I've volunteered abroad, I've run youth projects which took young people on international youth exchanges abroad. I worked in Australia as well. So yeah, everything was always geared towards the next trip. When I had periods of time when I was in the UK, I'd work as much as possible to save as much as possible to get to the next trip. So from a young age, everything was just geared towards the next trip, because that's all I wanted to be doing, was living a life in motion and seeing lots of places, which is why it's been especially strange for me, I guess, the last year. It's been a bit sobering, really, to be home this long, because I haven't been home for this long without going abroad for, a long time now. And the sad thing for me, without wishing to dwell on it too much, because, this is a fun interview, the sad thing for me is when I'm home, I want to be spending time with family and friends. And of course, that's the one thing I can't do when I'm at home. So it kind of sucks, but I'm trying to be stoic about it, like a Khaleesi, and just trying to throw myself into kind of work and going for lots of walks and stuff. So just keeping focused on work and looking ahead, because travel will come back. It can seem a bit upsetting now and a bit stressful for all of us who are involved in travel, but it will come back. We just need to hang on in there and try and support the travel industry, travel writers, travel creators, everyone involved in travel as much as we can, so that we can all get through this kind of dark time together.
One thing that came out of this for you, though, is I believe you got a cat as a result of being home so much. And, I think the cat kind of came into your life similarly as the camel. You didn't mean to have a cat, but you suddenly do. Is that right?
Yeah, so there's a cat that just kept turning up. So I'm like, well, it obviously wants to be my cat. So I'm a little bit obsessed with it. I take photos. I've got more photos of this cat than I've got of my husband. And every time I put a photo of Morpheus, as I like to call him, on the girls group, all the girls just reply, "It's not your cat. Stop stealing cats."
I love it, though, because you post the picture and the caption is always, "This is not my cat."
I think actually the cat decides that.
Yeah. Exactly. I feel like he wants to be my cat, and I just think that I would just brush him better. And if he was my cat, I would brush him every day.
Pip, what is easier, being the host of a podcast or the guest on a podcast?
That is a good question. I don't mind either. I like being the host on a podcast, because it's always really nice to hear other people's travel perspectives, and just not to hear the sound of my own voice, because as you've probably gathered, I can just ramble on about, I've got a million travel stories, and I just kind of want to hear other people's travel interests, what disasters have they had, where have they been, where are they going, all that kind of stuff. And what we've had recently is we've had quite a few travel industry experts on. So it's been really nice not only to hear people who are passionate about travel, but they really know their stuff. They're very insightful, very knowledgeable. And it's been such an honor, really, to have such knowledgeable, wonderful people on the show. I'm always continually humbled by people either approaching me to come on Travel Goals or agreeing to be on the show. It's always an absolute privilege. So that's really kept me going this year, is trying to cultivate these high quality episodes that feature just amazing people. And we've had great feedback on not only the production, but the guests and the information that they give. So it really, really, really makes my day when people leave reviews on iTunes or message me on Instagram or tag me in something on Twitter. It's, like I said, it's a bit of a tough time. So it really cheers me up, and it really, it really makes my day when someone takes the time to send a nice message. And I'm sure it's the same with you guys. I'm sure it really lifts your spirits when you get nice messages from listeners and from viewers as well. So yeah, I think that's what everyone should do after watching this interview or listening to this interview, is that they should go out there and go on social media and tell their favorite travel creators that they like what they're doing, because honestly, it really makes people's day.
I love it, just to know that people are watching and enjoying and bringing us all together. And I know some people get weird with the whole Twitter tagging. Like if you tag someone in a photo, I love it. I'm like, hey, thanks for bringing this to my attention. Yes, I like your picture. Let me comment. Let me go back and forth. Other people are like, you're clogging up my feed and all this other kind of stuff. But just, you can always tag Gals Wander or Wander to the Edge. So,
I mean,
but not Adam.
Yeah, right. The ones that complain probably pay like €9 for coffee.
Yeah.
Right. Like they're just, it's just outrageous.
And you can only have €9 for coffee in Paris, as discussed.
Yeah, unless it's, yes, exactly. But you're right. It does make our day. It made our day. Right. When she said Pip agreed to come on the show, I said, "What? You're kidding me? What did you tell her? Like, what kind of lies did you tell her to make her think it would be worth her time?" But
about a coffee gift card or something. I don't know.
Right. But it's about the community. It's about the people. And you're right. We tend to kind of skip around it, not to talk about it too much, but these are challenging times, and they're dark times, and uh, for everybody, but certainly for the travel community, for people that so much of their life was invested and is invested in travel and culture and different places. So I think what you're doing is important, and it helps to keep that hope alive. And I think right now that's a big part of what we have to do. But as I also said, you are good at it, and the production is great. You sound great on the podcast. So definitely need people to check out the podcast. It's called Travel Goals, and they would find it on iTunes, and where else?
Spotify as well, Google Podcasts, basically most of your major podcasting platforms. And if you can't find it, just let me know and I'll see what I can do. You can also listen, I believe, if you click on the links, it should take you to the desktop version as well. But if anyone finds they can't listen on their preferred podcast platform, just drop me a message and I'll see what I can do as well, because I want everyone to be able to hear it.
You need to check it out, everybody. You do. You sure do. So Pip Jones is our guest today, and her real name is Portia Jones. But she's been called Pip since she was a little girl, and a great, great guest who's now going to tell us one of her favorite expressions that people in Wales understand this. They get it. They use it. But those of us out here, we would have no idea what you're talking about. What would come to mind as a classic Welsh expression?
Oh gosh, where to start? So many. Proper lush is one of them. Poppity ping, which is Welsh slang for microwave. It depends. Cardiff centric can be a bit things like bang tidy as well. That was big with me and my friends about 10 years ago. Whose coat is that jacket? My father's favourite when I was younger. If you tell me how many sweets I got in my hand, I'll give you the both of them. You've probably heard me say like all sorts of other slang on social media and stuff, but yeah, we have a lot of strange Welsh sayings there.
Well, of course, you have a beautiful, unique history and all of that. Language, of course, continues to grow and change. It does. That's part of what language is. But it's also made up of our past and pieces of culture from days gone by. So Pip Jones has been our guest today. Pip,
I just
and
want
the
to
City.
add, I love Pip as a nickname. I love that for Portia. That's so cute. And, we all have our nicknames. Adam, do you want to share what your new nickname is?
I'm sorry, Zan, you're breaking up. I'm sorry, Zano.
Going through a
So
tunnel.
happy over here, Adam Asher.
What is it?
So
What is it with war of the nicknames?
I love the nicknames. Okay, take Zan for example. So my full name is Suzanne, but I go by Zan.
I
It's
like
just
that.
part, yeah, it's just part of who you are.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Me and my husband also call each other Mango as well, which is kind of like, ugh. It's because when we were horse riding in Cuba, our horse riding instructor, gosh, this is the most middle class thing I've said all day. We were horse riding in Cuba. Our horse riding instructor said to us something along the lines of, "Tú eres mi mango." Something. Forgive my Spanish, obviously, it's dreadful. And I was like, "What does that mean?" And he did. He went, "It means you are my mango." And ever since then, me and Luke have called each other like mango, which is kind of a bit one of those couple things that makes you go, ugh. But it's kind of stuck now years later. So we ended up having like the mango wedding and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we are. If you're thinking they're lame, you'd be absolutely correct.
see, it's a cute thing.
It is. It is. I think Pip Jones. I think that suits her better than my whatever the nickname is. You keep trying to force on me. Um, but yes, indeed, Pip. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah.
I know it's a little bit later over there, but for taking a part of your Saturday and spending part of the day with us. And we have um, so many great friends here in the States, around the world, there in the UK, and in other parts of Europe. And we appreciate them joining us today. And it's been our privilege to get to know you and just a little bit better. And you're an inspiration. Thank you for what you do. Just keep it up, and we will continue to follow along at home.
Oh, it's very kind of you to have me on the show. I'll teach you one quick thing in Welsh before we go. So if you want to say thank you in Welsh, it's diolch yn fawr.
Go ahead, Dan. You go first.
I'm sorry.
Diolch yn fawr.
You really want me to
Say it one more time.
Diolch yn fawr.
Diolch yn fawr.
Yeah, so that's thank you very much in Welsh, and I really do mean that. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a real privilege to speak to you both, and I've had a really, really lovely time. Thank you for letting me talk about travel and the things I'm really passionate about. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you,
It's totally
Pip.
made my day. Thanks so much, Pip.
Thank you.
So look Pip up online, pipandthecity.com, or also walesbucketlist.com. Look for a podcast called Travel Goals. And yes, reach out to her, messenger. Just, tell her you appreciate what she's doing and that you saw her today on Wander to the Edge. So, Zan, with that, great to see you again. Thanks for everybody joining us on this Saturday, right here on our favorite program,
Wander to the Edge.